Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're diving into the first chapter of Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, titled I Should Have Been a Statistic. And honestly, this chapter is intense.
Yeah, it really is. When people look at David Goggins today, they see this ultra-tough Navy SEAL, endurance athlete, and motivational speaker. But the beginning of his story is unbelievably dark.
Exactly. The chapter starts in what looks like the perfect American neighborhood in Buffalo, New York. Beautiful houses, nice cars, successful families. From the outside, everything looked like the American dream.
But inside the Goggins household, it was the complete opposite. David's father ran a roller skating rink called Skateland and seemed like a successful businessman. But at home, he was extremely abusive and controlling.
And what shocked me the most was that David and his brother were basically forced to work there as kids. They were working long nights at the skating rink, cleaning bathrooms, organizing skates, helping customers.
And we're talking about really young kids here. David was only around 6 years old, staying up until midnight or later and then trying to go to school the next morning.
So imagine being that exhausted all the time. Of course school became a struggle for him. He couldn't stay awake, couldn't focus, and started falling behind.
But the worst part of the chapter is definitely the violence at home. His father constantly beat his mother and terrorized the entire family.
There's this moment where young David actually jumps on his father's back to try to protect his mum while she's being beaten.
Yeah, and remember, he's just a little kid at that point. It shows how desperate the situation was.
Instead of stopping, his father punished him even more severely. The abuse continued for years.
All of that trauma started affecting David mentally and physically. He struggled badly in school, developed a stutter, and his teachers began labeling him as a problem student.
At one point, a teacher even tried to send him to a special school because she thought he couldn't keep up academically.
And that's when David started cheating on tests just to survive in school.
But eventually something huge happened. His mother decided she'd had enough.
She made the incredibly risky decision to escape with her kids. They packed what little they had and drove hundreds of miles away to Indiana to start over.
And even though life there was tough, they were poor and struggling, it was still better than living with the constant abuse.
Exactly. For the first time, David was free from the violence that defined his early childhood.
The powerful message of this chapter is that by every statistic, David Goggins should have failed. He grew up in abuse, poverty, trauma, and educational struggles.
But instead of letting those things define him, he eventually used them as fuel to build the incredibly tough mindset he's known for today.
And that leads to the challenge he gives readers at the end of the chapter.
Right. He asks you to look at your own bad hand. The struggles, the obstacles, the things that could hold you back.
The idea is to face them honestly instead of pretending they don't exist.
Because according to Goggins, those struggles can actually become the fuel that drives your success.
And that's the powerful foundation of his story.
Next time, we'll dive into the next chapter and see how David begins transforming that painful childhood into the mindset that would eventually change his life.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.